We're now at over 1 billion pounds of copper, 18 million ounces of silver, and that comes along with gold, PGMs, rare earths, and other critical minerals. And so this is an opportunity very similar to those early days at Galore, where we grew that into a world-class system that we ultimately sold to Teck and Newmont.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Greg Johnson. He is the CEO of Metallic Minerals. And Greg, it's great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Well, good to have you along. Excited to learn a bit more about what's going on within the company and the projects that you have. Maybe give everyone a bit of background on Metallic Minerals.
Yeah, so Metallic Minerals is a venture listed um, silver, gold, copper, and recently we've added platinum group metals and other strategic metals to our mix. We've got projects both in the Yukon territory of Canada, where our high-grade Keno Silver project is located, and an exciting new project, a copper, silver, gold PGM system down in Colorado that we've recently taken to, over the past couple of years, to a resource stage. And Newmont Mining has become a strategic investor in the company.
Yeah, talking about La Plata, which is the name of the project. Tell me a little bit about this one. As you mentioned, there's been a lot of work that you've done recently to get it to a certain level. Just released the technical report on it as well. So tell me a little bit about the project itself and the work that was done.
Yeah, so this is a project very similar. My team, myself, I'm one of the original co-founders at Nova Gold. Last cycle, we had great success with our Donlin gold asset that's recently been in the news. 40 million ounce gold deposit that's one of the largest undeveloped resources in the world. And our Galore Creek copper gold project in British Columbia. And so our team has a lot of experience in this kind of intrusive hosted porphyry related system. We picked up the La Plata project in late 2019 and have rapidly taken that to a resource. It's an alkalic precious metal rich porphyry, which is the same type of porphyry as Galore. We're now at over 1 billion pounds of copper, 18 million ounces of silver, and that comes along with gold, PGMs, rare earths, and other critical minerals. And so this is an opportunity very similar to those early days at Galore, where we grew that into a world-class system that we ultimately sold to Teck and Newmont.
Obviously, you mentioned what you have there already and what you're seeing, at least for the resource, but the U.S. Geological Survey has designated it as well as a critical mineral resource area. So we're hearing a lot about those in the news these days. So I'd imagine that's a big positive for, especially one that's in the United States.
There's no question the US government is really focused on developing critical mineral production domestically. That La Plata is well positioned to be able to take advantage of that. And I think one of the ways we're seeing that already unfold is in streamlining the permit process. That in the US, it's not that you couldn't get permits, but it often took time to work through the process. And compared to jurisdictions like Canada, where you might get your permit in 6 months. In some cases, it might have taken you a couple of years. And we're seeing significant reduction in kind of red tape. Still a very rigorous process, but reductions in the timeline to move through. And so, yeah, I think we're well positioned with a project like this that has so much growth potential. I mean, the typical porphyry, probably the average porphyry in development right now out there is, yeah, 5 billion plus pounds of copper. And if it has precious metals, often, hundreds of millions of ounces of silver and millions of ounces of gold that can be, coming along with these systems. So great potential in this kind of geologic, system and in a first world jurisdiction that's looking for the development of critical minerals.
Work going to be done this year on the project?
Absolutely. We're in the planning phases. As I mentioned, Newmont is a strategic investor in the company,
Yeah.
as is Eric Sprott, a really renowned resource investor. We are closely working with Newmont in terms of the objectives of this year's program. Newmont funded the last round of drilling that confirmed these spectacular intercepts. Over 800 meters of continuous mineralization starting at surface with some multi-percent copper and high precious metals. So we're going to do follow-up drilling on that. But Steve, one of the things that's exciting here about La Plata is these type of alkalic systems aren't just one giant porphyry. They tend to occur in clusters. So each body tends to be higher grade, more modest in size. The model we're using here is Newmont's Cadia mine complex down in Australia, which is one of the top copper gold systems globally. They've got six separate porphyry deposits at Cadia. Here at La Plata, we've found the first one. We've got 25 other targets that are porphyry targets undrilled. So this is a story of continuing to grow the existing resource. And this year, a second part of our program is going to be getting out and getting those first holes into those potential new porphyry discoveries adjacent to the current resource.
Okay. And just a quick comment on Keno as well. Are you looking at work there, or is main the focus on the US right now?
We will have some additional work. We published our first maiden resource in 2024 at Keno
Yeah.
Silver, 18 million ounces of silver, just getting started next door to Hecla. That's now Hecla's highest grade operating mine in their portfolio and Canada's largest silver producer. So great potential there at Keno Silver as well. And you'll see some activity there with silver knocking on the door of $35 an ounce. I think most analysts see silver having a terrific year, catching up with gold. So yes, we're excited about that. And then the last thing that we should just probably touch on is the fact that metallic minerals is relatively unique in the space, having royalty production from our alluvial portfolio. And this year we've added another operator. And so we're looking at increased royalty production, from our Klondike alluvials in the Yukon.
Exciting times ahead, it sounds like. Greg, thanks so much for updating us on what you're at, and we look forward to continuing to follow the story this summer, okay?
Thanks a lot. Look forward to keeping you updated.
All right, look forward to it as well. Very busy. Greg Johnson, the CEO of Metallic Minerals.